Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Beauty Beyond the Ashes podcast, where we talk all things forgiveness, restoration, freedom, healing, and wholeness so that we can walk into God's purpose and calling for our lives with courage and boldness. I am your host, Tonya B. Jones. Thank you all for joining me once again as we share what thus says the Lord. I am excited about what He has given me today. It was actually for my own heart, and I just want to share it with you all. Before we get into it, though, I'd like to ask if you all would please share the podcast. I ask that you would rate and review on whatever you're listening to, or if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and subscribe so that you can follow me and we can stay connected. So the title, I'm not quite sure what the title is going to be, but we're in the afterthroes of the election. And the last podcast I did, I talked about the fact that the platform or the one of the major points for the candidates was the issue of abortion. And I have to really say that I am not the political person. I am not the one who is going to use my voice for a political agenda. I think I've said this to you all before when God first called me to this. He said, you are going to use your voice not to endorse a political agenda, but to endorse my kingdom agenda and to let people know of his love, right? So I won't come on here and babble about what has taken place in the political arena. But what I do know is that for a woman who is in the aftermath of an abortion, either recently or even 10, 20, 30 years ago, the rhetoric that they hear right now can be triggering to them and can truly, truly cause some emotional issues, can cause some psychological issues, can cause them to kind of fall into a depression, be angry, and not really know where these things are coming from. I've talked about it before. I describe it in my book, the aspects of the aftermath of abortion in my book, Pearls in the Pews, Bringing Post-Abortion Healing to the Church and the Churched. So I hope you guys go ahead and pre-order that. It is up for pre-order right now so that we can understand what a woman may be going through right now, especially a Christian woman, especially a woman who has confessed that Christ is her Lord and Savior, because that does not exempt us from the consequences of sin, right? We are forgiven for it. But one of the consequences of the sin of abortion is the fact that our souls are broken. There's something that happens within us, right? And we often aren't aware. So this time, this season may be a difficult one for an abortion wounded woman. So what I'd like to do today is to let that woman know that you are not alone, right? That if you are struggling, if you are suffering in any way, and you don't even relate it to an abortion, but you have had an abortion in the past, it could be because of your abortion that what you're hearing right now is really triggering you and you don't know where it's coming from, right? So I'd like to share something that came to me. I'd like to just share, it's never too late to come back. It's never too late to come back. God doesn't have a timetable, and it could have been 10 days ago, 10 months ago, 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago that you had your abortion and you're still going through some things. It's because you just need to turn back to God in this specific area, right? And I want what came to me when this was going on, and me remembering when I would be triggered and the anger that would come upon me. And when I would hear people talking about abortion, I would get angry. And I didn't know where that anger was coming from. But that was the emotion that displayed within me. Of course, through my healing journey, I have come to understand why that was and where it came from. But for a person who isn't aware, depression, anger, apathy, just anxiety, those things come because we've been broken somewhere. And if you've had an abortion, it could be that. So I want to read to you from Luke chapter 15, and I'm going to start at verse 11. I have to put on my glasses, y'all. Says, Then he said, A certain man had two sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. So he divided to them his livelihood. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all his stuff, journeyed to a far country, and there wasted his possessions with prodigal living. But when he had spent all, there arose a severe famine in that land, and he began to be in want. Then he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed swine. And he would gladly have filled his stomach with pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he had came to himself, he said, How many of my father's hired servants have bread enough to spare and perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father and will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was still a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring out the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet, and bring the fatted calf here and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be merry. It is never too late to come back to yourself. It is never too late to figure out that there is something going on and I need to return to my father to figure it out. I need to return to my father to be healed. I need to return to my father for revelation, for discernment, for healing, for restoration, for wholeness. Oftentimes, after we have our abortion, we make so many like really unhealthy decisions. And those unhealthy decisions take us further down and further down into the dung and the mud, just like this young son wanted all of his stuff. He went on his own way. He made his own decisions, which is what we did. We made our own decisions, and the consequences of those decisions is now that we are suffering because of something, right? We are suffering in this thing. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to get himself out of it. But when he came to himself, when he came to his senses, when he figured it out, when he didn't know what exactly to do, but he came to himself and said, what I need to do is go back to my father. What I need to do is go back to the Lord. What I need to do is go back and say, forgive me for I have sinned. Please help me. And that is it. That is the beginning of the healing journey. But what he did was he stayed in the Father's house, and he went And he told his dad, I don't even deserve to be your son anymore. That's how we go to God, right? We go to him pleading for forgiveness, and then we sit in that place of pleading and continued condemnation, like I don't even deserve to be here. I don't even deserve to be before you, Lord, but I'm going to stay here and I'm going to keep asking over and over and over again, petitioning you. Well, like this prodigal son, when you did it the first time, God wrapped his arms around you and said, you are forgiven. Come on back home. Come on in. Let me bring you into the palace where you're supposed to be. Let me shower you with abundance the way you're supposed to be. Let me treat you as the child, as the daughter of the king that you truly are. Bring out the robe, get the fatted calf. Just shower her. And but you have to sit and allow God to do that to you. I mean, do that for you. And sometimes it's hard to do that because we can't even get past the point of knowing that we have been forgiven. But it's never too late to come to yourself. If you are out there struggling, trying to figure out, like, Lord, what is going on? Why is my life like this? Why do I feel this way? My life can be good, right? Everything on the external can be looking really good. That's how we do. We put on the mask, everything looks good. But internally, I'm a mess. Internally, it's slop in there. Internally, I'm just wallowing around in that slop, right? So, what we have to do is really come to ourselves. And then, after we come to ourselves and we figure out this is not right, this is not where I'm supposed to be, then that's when we come to the Father. And it's never too late to go to the Father and say, here I am. Here I am, make me whole. So I just want you to know that if this environment that we're in right now is triggering for you, if because the election is over, but this topic is not going away, right? Um, so there is help. There is help. The first place for you is to go to God, right? But God has placed people like myself right here for you. There are people who are willing to walk with you as you traverse this journey. It's a journey that you're going to go on. And let me say this, especially for the Christian woman, many of us don't want to do like groups. We don't want to go to anyone, especially in the beginning. We need security. We need safety. And I will tell you this, I am safety for you. I am safety for you. Please feel free to reach out to me. We can talk about how I can walk with you through this journey of healing and understanding what happened during that time and what happened to you as a result of the abortion. There are things that we just don't understand until we get ourselves into a place of surrender where God can start revealing things to us. And that's what this prodigal son did. He surrendered. He surrendered to the Father, and the Father was able to restore him to his rightful place. And that's what we as Christian women who are abortion wounded need to do. We need to surrender to God so that he can put us back in our rightful place. And we already know that Revelations 12:11 says that it is by the blood of Christ and our testimony that we are able to overcome the enemy, Satan, and his lies that he keeps us buried to, the shame and the anger and the depression and the anxiety and just the apathy that we feel. Those are all devices of Satan that he uses to keep us from overcoming what we've been through. So I just wanted to share that with you today. And I pray that God speaks to your heart. I pray that God lays upon your heart comfort and peace and guides you exactly where you need to be. And that is back to him. That is back to him. I'm going to get out of here. Listen, I ask you again, share the podcast, go back, listen to some other episodes. I love hearing from you all. You can send me reviews either on the listening platform or to my email, which is BBTA, which means Beauty Beyond the Ashes. So BBTA at TonyaBJones.com. Please feel free to go to my website, TonyaBJones.com. I have my book for pre-sale there. It is entitled Pearls in the Pews, Bringing Post-Abortion Healing to the Church and the Churched. So feel free to get your copy. All pre-orders will be hand-signed by me. I'll autograph each and every copy before I send it out to you as you pre-order. I am excited about what God's going to do in this season. I know right now it might not feel that way to many of us, but God is doing something. God is moving. If he can do what he did for me and where I was, I know he can do it for you too. But I want you to remember this. Don't be so uncomfortable with the darkness of your past that you're too fearful to walk into the light of your future. I'll talk to y'all next week. Love you. Bye.